Big brains? Or big mistakes? NIKKINIKKI plays commander. Without further ado, let's introduce our players for today. Player 1, Nikki. Her commander is Yuriko the Tiger Shadow. Player 2, Marbs. He's playing Valgavoth Harrower of Souls. Player 3, Ivan. His commanders are Malcolm Kediss Navigator and Kediss Emberclaw Familiar. Player 4, Sam. Sam plays Lord Windgrace as commander. Game. Start. Nikki draws a card. She plays Drowned Catacombs tapped then passes the turn. Ivan draws a card, plays an island then passes. Sam draws a card. He plays a forest and cast.
Burgeoning, 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 burgeoning.
Sam passes the turn. Marbs draws a card. He cast an exotic orchard. Burgeoning triggers. Sam plays a land as well. Marbs casts a soul ring. Then, he cast a thought vessel. After convincing everyone that Sam is the threat, he passes the turn. Nikki draws a card. She plays a mana confluence. Burgeoning triggers and Sam plays another land. Nikki loses 1 life from mana confluence and cast Moon Circuit Hacker. She passes the turn. Ivan draws a card and plays a mountain. Burgeoning triggers again. Sam plays a land. Ivan plays Talisman of Creativity then passes. Sam draws a card and plays Fanatic of Ronas. He, surprisingly, passes the turn. Marbs draws a card then plays a swamp. He plays Gleeful Arsonist. He passes. Nikki draws a card and immediately declares attack to Ivan. Ivan declares no blockers. Nikki pays blue and black to activate the ninjutsu ability of Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow. Moon Circuit Hacker returns to her hand and Yuriko enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. Ivan takes 1 commander damage. Yuriko ability triggers. Nikki flips the top card of her library and reveals Fell the Profane. Her opponent takes 4 damage each. She then flips Fell the Profane turning it into Fellmire. She plays this land for turn. Sam triggers his burgeoning and plays a land as well. Nikki passes the turn. Ivan draws a card then plays an island. He plays Arcane Signet. Gleeful Arsonist triggers. Ivan takes 1 damage. Ivan plays Nikki cuts off the celebration and casts Fierce Guardianship targeting Reese-Tick Study. Gleeful Arsonist triggers twice from Reese-Tick and Fierce. Ivan and Nikki takes 1 damage each. After pretending that he has an interaction, Ivan lets the Fierce Guardianship resolves countering his precious Reese-Tick Study and passes the turn. Sam draws a card and plays his commander Lord Windgrace. Gleeful Arsonist triggers. Sam takes 1 damage. He activates his commander's first ability. He puts 2 loyalty counters to Windgrace, discards a land card and draws 2 cards. He plays a Bird of Paradise and passes. Marbs draws a card and plays Myriad Landscape tapped. He also plays his commander Valgavoth Harrower of Souls then passes the turn. Nikki draws a card and plays Halimar Depths tapped. She looks at the top 3 cards of her library then put them back in any order. She plays Scroll Rack and everybody says
Agay.
Agay, agay.
She activates her Scroll Rack, takes 1 damage from Mana Confluence. Valgavoth triggers, gets a +1/+1 counter and Marbs draws a card. Nikki exiles 2 cards from her hand face down. She puts 2 cards from her library to her hand. Then put the exiled cards on top of her library in any order. She then declares attack to Ivan using Yuriko. Ivan takes his 2nd commander damage. Yuriko triggers. Nikki flips the top card of her library and reveals
Draco, 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 Draco.
All her opponents take 16 damage each. And after boasting that Draco and Scroll Rack were on her starting hand, that's why she kept it despite not having a 1-drop, she passes the turn smiling. Ivan draws a card. He says this may be his last turn if Nikki gets to activate her Scroll Rack again during her turn. The table agreed that Nikki is now the archenemy. Ivan plays his commander, Malcolm Kediss Navigator and passes the turn while emphasizing he has 2 open mana. Sam draws a card. He activates Lord Windgrace's first ability. He puts 2 loyalty counters, discard a non-land card and draws a card. He casts Zuran Orb. Ivan says
Uy, parang combo yan ah. Parang may combo yan eh.
Kakombo na?
Hindi, parang may combo yan eh.
Gleeful Arsonist triggers. Sam takes 1 damage. Valgavoth triggers it gets another +1/+1 counter then Marbs draws a card. Sam ends his turn. Marbs draws a card and plays Witch's Clinic as land per turn. Nikki, in response, says
Uy, uy. Lumalayling.
Marbs moves to combat and attacks Valgavoth, a now 6/6 flyer, to Nikki. Nikki takes the damage and in response, Marbs pays 2 mana to activate Witch's Clinic's ability. Valgavoth gains lifelink. Nikki takes 6 damage and Marbs gains 6 life. Marbs casts Thran Dynamo on his second main phase then passes the turn. Nikki draws a card. She casts Wing Crafter. Ivan casts Essence Scatter targeting Wing Crafter. Essence Scatter resolves and Wing Crafter gets countered. Nikki casts Harrower Strix. She taps Gleeful Arsonist. She pays 1 mana to activate Scroll Rack. She exiles 2 cards from her hand. Puts the top 2 cards of her library to her hand, then puts the cards from exile to the top of her library in any order. Nikki moves to her combat phase. She attacks Marbs with Yuriko and in response, Sam casts Beast Within, targeting Yuriko. Surprisingly, Beast Within resolves. Yuriko gets back to the command zone and Nikki gains a 3/3 Beast. On her second main phase, Nikki plays an island and passes the turn. Marbs suddenly remembers Gleeful Arsonist's triggers. Sam and Ivan takes 1 damage each for casting non-creature spells. Valgavoth triggers, gets a +1/+1 counter, then Marbs draws another card. Ivan celebrates for getting 1 more turn then draws a card. He casts his other commander, Kediss Emberclaw Familiar. He moves to his combat then attacks Marbs with Malcolm. Marbs takes 2 commander damage. And because Kediss is in play, Nikki and Sam takes 2 damage each as well. Malcolm ability triggers producing 3 treasure tokens. Ivan casts Stormkiln Artist on his second main phase and ends his turn. Sam sacrifices a land through Zuron Orb before his turn begins. He gains 2 life. He draws a card for turn. He plays a land. Sam casts Ob Nixilis the Fallen. He then activates Lord Windgrace's second ability. He removes 3 loyalty counters from Windgrace then put 2 land cards from his graveyard to the battlefield. Rakdos Carnarium bounces itself to Sam's hand. Ob Nixilis triggers twice. Nikki and Marbs loses 3 life each. Then, Ob gets 1 2 3 4 5 6 counters. Sam passes the turn. Marbs draws a card and plays a swamp. Burgeoning triggers, Sam plays Rakdos Carnarium and bounces itself again to Sam's hand. Ob Nixilis triggers, Marbs loses 3 life then Ob gets another 3+1/+1 counters. Nikki says,
Sakit ka na, boy ah. Sakit ka na. Masakit ka na masyado, boy.
Ba't yan? Tinatanggal ah.
Masakit ka na.
Marbs moves to his combat phase then attacks Sam with Valgavoth for 7 commander damage. Nikki body shames Ob Nixilis for being a demon without flying ability.
Paog Nixilis.
Kaya Ob Nixilis the Fallen.
Marbs then activates Witch's Clinic again to give Valgavoth lifelink until the end of turn. Marbs gain 7 life. The table discuss how dangerous Ob Nixilis plus Burgeoning is. After Nikki's chant,
Terminate na yan. Terminate na yan.
Baka may pangontras.
Terminate na yan.
Marbs, finally, casts Terminate targeting Ob Nixilis. Sam has no response, and Ob Nixilis, with all its might, falls down to graveyard. After a quick celebration with Nikki, Marbs passes the turn. Nikki draws a card and quickly moves to her combat phase attacking Marbs. Marbs has no flying blockers and the table declare no response as well. Nikki activates her scroll rack again. Exiling 2 cards from her hand, putting top 2 cards of her library to her hand and putting the exiled cards on top of her library in any order. Nikki activates Yuriko's Commander Ninjutsu ability. Harrower Strix returns to her hand and Yuriko enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. Marbs takes 1 commander damage. Yuriko triggers. Nikki reveals, guess what, Draco. All her opponents take 16 damage each, but in response, Sam activates his Zuron Orb to sacrifice 4 lands to gain 8 life. Ivan is the first one to fall while Sam is down to 2 life. Nikki ends her turn while singing.
Gain siya. Kasi iba,
Alam na. Aking mahal. Okay.
Sam draws a card. He activates Windgrace's first ability. Windgrace gets 2 loyalty counters, Sam discards a land then draws 2 cards. Sam plays a land, he casts 6, then passes the turn. Before Sam's end of turn, Marbs pays 2 mana and sacrifices Myriad Landscape and searches his library for 2 mountains, puts them to the battlefield tapped then shuffles his library. Marbs draws a card for turn. He casts Underworld Dreams. He plays a mountain then moves to his combat phase. He attacks Nikki with Valgavoth for 7 commander damage. Nikki takes it, then, Marbs activates Witch's Clinic again gaining 7 life from lifelink. On his second main phase, Marbs casts Obosh the Prey Piercer. The table talk about the impossibility of Sam's survival because of Marbs' creatures in play. Marbs passes the turn. Nikki sneakily draws a card. She casts Harrower Strix, tapping Obosh as it enters the battlefield. She moves to her combat phase, declaring 2 attackers to Marbs. But Marbs remembers his enchantment trigger. Underworld Dreams deals 1 damage to Nikki because she drew 1 card earlier. Obosh triggers, Nikki takes 2 damage instead. Valgavoth triggers, gets another +1/+1 counter, then Marbs draw a card. Marbs blocks Yuriko with Gleeful Arsonist. Nikki then activates Scroll Rack. She exiles 4 cards from her hand, puts the top 4 cards of her library to her hand, then put the exiled cards on top of her library in any order. Since the 3/3 beast is unblocked, Nikki ninjutsu in her second ninja of the game, Mistblade Shinobi. Ivan seems to know what's coming and said,
Gago, maduga.
Ano yung ninjutsu niya? Yung elepante?
3/3 beast ceases to exist and Mistblade Shinobi enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. Marbs takes 1 damage. Yuriko triggers, Nikki flips Draco from the top of her library. Marbs and Sam take 16 damage each for the 3rd time. Sam gets knocked out of the game. Mistblade Shinobi triggers, targeting Valgavoth. Nikki pays 2 life for the ward cost. Valgavoth returns to Marbs' hand. On her second main phase, Nikki plays a swamp, then passes the turn. Marbs draws a card, he plays Reliquary Tower. He recasts his commander, Valgavoth Harrower of Souls. He casts Carter Doomscourge. He casts Harsh Mentor. Marbs declares no attacks, then passes the turn. Before end of turn, Nikki casts Limb Dull's Vault. Gleeful Arsonist triggers, dealing 1 damage to Nikki. Obosh the Prey Piercer triggers, Nikki takes 2 damage instead. She looks at the top 5 cards of her library. She pays 1 life to put those cards to the bottom of her library in any order, then looks at the top 5 cards of her library again. She then shuffles her library and put the last 5 cards she looked at on top in any order. Marbs' turn ends. Nikki draws a card. Underworld Dreams triggers, Obosh triggers. Valgavoth triggers, gets a +1/+1 counter. Marbs draw a card. Nikki loses 2 life. She plays Command Tower. Then she taps 7 mana to play an Overloaded. Gleeful Arsonist triggers. Obosh triggers. Nikki takes 2 damage. Marbs returns all non-land permanents he controls to his hand. Nikki moves to her combat phase, declaring 3 attackers. Yuriko triggers, Nikki flips Tetsuko Umezawa Fugitive, and a land. Marbs takes 1 commander damage +4. Nikki realizes that she could have won already if she arranged the top 5 cards of her library correctly, using Limb Dull's Vault earlier. With that in mind, Nikki passes the turn. Marbs draws a card. He plays a land for turn. He plays a Razorkin Needlehead. He plays a Soul Ring. He recasts Gleeful Arsonist, then he passes the turn. Nikki draws a card. Razorkin Needlehead triggers, dealing 1 damage to her. She plays a land, then she casts Tetsuko Umezawa Fugitive. All her creatures on the battlefield is now unblockable. She moves to her combat and attacks with everything. She activates Scroll Rack, exiling 1 card from her hand. She puts 1 card from her library to hand and put the exiled card on top of her library. She ninjutsu in Sakashima's student, copying Mistblade Shinobi for fun. Yuriko triggers, flipping Draco for the 4th time this game, and NIKKINIKKI wins.